A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, StarGiantProductions was coming up with ways to improve her channel in terms of viewership and money and subscribers. So Rebecca decided that she was gonna rank all the Star Wars movies from worst to best and on Star Wars Day being today. We're ranking all the 9 official Star Wars movies today. Let's just get through this list. Why? Can't I make an intro less than a minute long? I know they're usually 1 to 5 minutes long or longer, but it's short today. May the 4th be with you. I don't care! Man, I didn't want to be mean today, but Attack of the Clones is just not good. But rewatching this movie made me realize something that I never realized before, and that Padme is actually the worst Star Wars character ever. You know that 2010s cliche of women saying, "I don't need no man," only for them to need a man like 5 seconds later? Yeah, who would have thought that cliche was from the 2000s as well? You'd think if she could pull off faking not being the queen, even though that she was the queen in the first film so well, that she could even be better in the second film. I don't know what the hell happened between episodes 1 and 2 that caused her to get this much dumber, or to be even dumber than Jar Jar Binks. And yes, she is dumber than Jar Jar Binks. I stand by that. I'm sure Disney will make a side film in the future on that, just like how they made a pointless origin story on Han Solo, or Darth Maul, like 5 times again. Can we at least all agree that the LEGO Star Wars Holiday Special from Disney is probably the best Disney parody of Star Wars ever? The part of the Jedi coming in to stop the robots is easily the best part of the movie, and yet that takes an hour and a half to get to. And the only thing enjoyable about this movie prior to that is C-3PO, who I argue is the best Star Wars character in the prequel trilogy. Han Solo Yoda is my favorite in the original trilogy, and Poe Dameron is my favorite Star Wars character, not just of the Disney trilogy or sequel trilogy if you prefer, but of all of Star Wars. Oh, I guess episode 2 also has that bounty hunter, which I thought was amusing, but it doesn't last long. But let's really go in depth with the problem with Padme, and by extension, Anakin some more.
Are you an angel?
You see this age gap here? You have to remember that these two get married. And yet, in the first movie, Padme looks like she's twice the age as Anakin. She looks 20 and he looks 10. Wait, how old were they technically? Excuse me a minute. Oh, apparently Anakin was 9. Wow, I was only 1 year off. And Padme was... Wait, hold the phone. She's only 14 in the first movie? That does not even look close to a 14-year-old girl. And you'd think that she'd be able to look like one considering that Natalie Portman was 16 when they first started filming this movie. She was 18 by the time that this was complete. Back to my main point. The romance blows.
Your presence is soothing. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
You've changed so much.
You haven't changed a bit. You're exactly the way I remember you in my dreams.
It's basically every 2000s cliche romance story, except insert into Star Wars for some reason. Why did I love this movie as a kid? It takes an hour and a half for me to actually enjoy anything. All that I cared about for Padme was when she showed her belly button. I know that's weird, but that's all that I remember from her in this one. When we get past the point with sex shit and the "I can do it on my own except I can't" plot. Did we really need to have her keep her baby a secret? Or that how Anakin and her were having love behind the scenes? She's 21, and he's an adult too, so who really cares again? Jango Fett is so utterly useless by cutting him that you wouldn't miss a thing. Oh, but if we didn't create his origin, how would we have Boba Fett's origin complete? Did we really need Boba Fett to have an origin? Or was that George Lucas's goal? Let's give everyone an origin story! It's like Friendship is Magic, except it's not any fun at all. And then there's Count Dooku. I'm gonna tell you one thing about Count Dooku. He looks like my real-life Uncle John. And no, I'm not showing you what he looks like in real life. I'm keeping that to myself. I bring this up, though, because that is all that I ever bothered to memorize about this guy for over a decade. I think only recently, like when I first watched this from my Star Wars marathon, did I ever give a shit to find out more about this guy. And yet, he's just a Darth Maul clone. Funny, I thought the clone troopers were supposed to be the clones, not Count Dooku himself. Anything else? Oh yes, Jar Jar. Yeah, go ahead, Jar Jar. Give emergency power to Palpatine. I'm sure that will absolutely no way backfire whatsoever any all at all. I hate you, Jar Jar.
Are you an angel?
It's funny how right before the turn of the millennium, people praise this as like the second coming of Jesus. But once the new millennium hit, all of a sudden this became a stupid joke movie. Like Attack of the Clones, I loved it as a kid, but over the years it grew sour with me. The most notable thing about this movie is how everyone talks about Jar Jar. And my god was he annoying to go back to. He is a distraction to everything in Star Wars.
Very, very bad. Oh, go.
And there's your proof on how juvenile this movie can be. It threw in a toilet humor joke in this movie. Oh, I'm sorry, it happens twice. Most of this movie is filled with boring padding and Jar Jar. The pod racing scene is something that I still enjoy to this day. Too bad that it takes literally 1 hour to get to this part. Holy shit! But hey, it's a half hour quicker than episode's 2 robot fight, so that makes it better. No, that's all I got on this one. What do you want me to do? Want me to talk about the midichlorians bullshit?
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells, telling us the will of the Force.
No, instead of skill determining how good you are, it's these things that we never heard of called midichlorians. That's what it's all about. I'm done with this one. Hey look, it's that Star Wars movie that everybody hates. I mean, the shitheads that drove Kelly Marie Tran insane and made her depressed should feel right about themselves. I get it, it's fine if people don't like this movie, but the extremes that people have done are just too much for me. Oh, you know how Star Wars fans raised over $400,000 to remake a movie. Look at this! I mean, that $418,000 could have been used to help real-life people, charities, people in third-world countries, giving the homeless food and shelter. But no, you just want to remake a stupid movie. This movie is why I truly stopped caring about fandom perception. No, you idiots, Disney didn't ruin your childhood. You did. People were, and still to this day, giant idiots going after anyone that just happened to like or even love this movie. Look, it's okay if people have different opinions on things. For example, I love the game Friday Night Funk, and I'd be fine if someone else didn't like it. But I hate it if that person cut ties with you for liking the game. However, I do have to agree with people that this movie has problems. Most of it comes from Kylo Ren, and simply put, he's not a fun character. Half of the time, with his terrible acting, he sounds like a bratty teen that hates the world and his parents because he got grounded for a week and got his cell phone confiscated because he was out too late one night despite being disrespectful. Just, oof, my God, I hate Kylo Ren. He's not as bad as Padme or Jar Jar. I at the very least see his purpose. But anybody trying to make Kylo Ren sympathetic is like trying to make Cassandra from Tangled sympathetic. And I just realized that Disney had these things come out at the exact same time. Shit. Was it coincidence? Probably. But seriously, how am I supposed to care about someone after them doing this thing right here? You killed Han Solo, aka your dad. I think at this point, I never cared about Kylo Ren again. He was fine in episode 7, but let's just say episode 8 gives Hayden Christensen from episode 2 a run for his money on the most annoying male villain in Star Wars history. I said it and I'm sticking to it, Hayden Christensen is better. But Kylo is not the only character that I have an issue with in this movie. Amilyn Holdo is the second biggest one. I want to say that she's sexist, but it's more on the lines of being a leader that doesn't know what she's doing. So maybe she's like Padme of the sequel trilogy? So her point is to take control from Leia when Leia falls ill. And basically did great to Poe when he actually saves the day. And she even convinces Leia to shoot Poe later on in the movie. Wait a minute, that is just Padme of the sequel trilogy. But the thing that's most notable is the suicide shit. It's not as bad as the Fairy Odd Parents episode Farm Pit where Timmy actually attempts suicide, but it's still got its problems. First of all, I actually thought it was dramatic and tear-jerking the first time because I thought it was well done. But rewatching it again, it's a very manipulative thing to watch. I feel like that this whole entire scene was forced. It's forced because it's with a character that I don't care about. And secondly, the movie thinks that the only way that I can care about this character is them sacrificing themselves. And I have to say no to that. And I know what you might say. So a character sacrificing themselves to help save others makes you hate them? No, not at all. I've seen it done before well.
You stay, I go, no following.
You have to make the character relatable to the audience. Make them have a fun time, not just randomly put them into a movie to kill them later on. If they made Holdo more of a fun character, I would have liked her more. Let me put it like this, Leia makes the mistake of shooting Poe. She later on in the movie tells Poe that she made a mistake.
She was more interested in protecting the light than she was seeming like a hero.
And that makes me love Leia. She at the very least owns up to her mistakes. Holdo just kills herself and she makes me not care for her. If she apologized to Poe before her death, that would have been great instead of being a self-attained asshole. But there is one saving grace that this movie has, and that's Poe. Poe is actually my favorite Star Wars character ever. I was tempted to say C-3PO, but C-3PO only really was funny in the sequel trilogy carried on by Poe. Poe is kind of like Poe from Kung Fu Panda. And no, I'm not just saying that because they have the same name. I'm saying that because they're some of the funniest characters in movie history. Just look at these jokes.
Hugs? You can. With an H? Skinny guy? Kind of pasty?
Alright, listen up. I don't like these rust buckets, and I don't like our odds. What the hell?
This tunnel's that the odds of finding an exit are 15,428.
Shut up! Let's just pray that big-ass door holds long enough for us to get help. Look, I can't hold forever. If you reach him, tell him Leia has an urgent message for him about his mother.
It's moments like that that make me glad to keep watching these movies. And the casino scene is amazing, and Rose getting the revenge on those animal abuse is amazing. Why do so many people hate Rose? She sacrificed herself to save Finn when he almost killed himself. What is wrong with you people? Oh, and I love Yoda burning the Jedi Temple down. Did you know that he's a Muppet again and no longer a CGI creature? Just like in the original trilogy. Anywho, I think we should go to the next movie now.
I'm Rey Skywalker.
Oh hey, it's that other infamous Star Wars movie. But you know, I actually like this one. Oh, it still has its problems. No Star Wars movie is perfect, but this one I actually take issue with the fans more or less. So let's be dead serious for a minute here. I am affirmed to believe that you have every right to realize that you have made mistakes and are willing to fix them. But if you're a person that drives people to depression because they made a movie that you didn't like, and you demand them to remake it despite the fact that it has people that are very beloved and well-liked and are sadly no longer with us today because they die in real life, shut the fuck up! I am tired of people going after shit like this. Humans have this ideology that when something is not 100% perfect, they have to tear it to shreds, and I am so done with that. Both this and Episode 8 is why I refuse to call myself a Star Wars fan. Because being a Star Wars fan is being part of the worst fan base ever. I get it. Just like with DC Superhero Girls 2019, there are bad people within its fan base. But that doesn't mean that every single person in that fan base is bad. There are good people in their fan bases as well. Just like with Toon Critic of the Brony fandom, you shouldn't judge a fan by a few bad apples. Anywho, let's get back to a fun movie. The movie still has its problems. Oh, did you know that Emperor Palpatine could just randomly create a whole army at will? Oh, now he's still alive? He's alive, people! And he made Snoke as well. He created him while he was dead. Like, Emperor Palpatine didn't come back to life later. He created Snoke first, and then he's alive. I really don't follow this movie on that logic. Like, I find that bullshit. I mean, if Palpatine could be ghosts like Yoda and Anakin and Luke and such, that'd be one thing. You don't see them creating armies or robots and such. All they do is give some nice advice. Oh, and burn down Jedi temples. Lol. But nothing about creating armies. And if this feels like an asshole, that's because it is. Yeah, that's one problem that I have with the Disney trilogy or the sequel trilogy. And it's that information to the audience is left vague or missing. Kinda like how Rey was able to give Ben her lightsaber. I heard that Disney had to make a lot of changes to this movie due to the fact that there was a lot of fan backlash for the last one. Here's a quick tip. Don't listen to fan backlash. If you want to create a piece of art, go for it. Don't listen to them. But the good stuff is good, like how all the Jedi helped Rey Skywalker at the very end against Darth Sidious. Han Solo's cameo is great, Luke Skywalker returned to talk to Rey and him lifting the X-Wing like how Yoda taught him was nice. C-3PO was still a blast and I didn't even mind his amnesia thing. The battle scenes were fun, Kylo Ren dies, Leia's sacrifice was heartbreaking, Chewbacca got his own medal, and Poe is still fun.
We're a space runner? You were a stormtrooper?
Were you a spice runner?
Were you a scavenger? We can do this all night.
See why I think Poe is the best? I just had so much fun with him. Alright, we'll move on to the next movie.
Ain't you done talking about Palpatine using the full power of the dark side? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Know what I
Okay,
mean?
I'm moving on! Ugh.
Your powers are weak, old man.
It's so weird that the original Star Wars movie that started it all is smack down in the middle of all 9 main Star Wars movies. It's the most parodied thing in existence. Every cartoon in existence has more or less referenced it, or even done a whole episode on it. There are countless movies to reference it. Hell, we even have movies solely dedicated to parodying it. I just think it's a fun movie from start to finish, even though the fight scene with Vader and Obi-Wan is boring to watch nowadays. You call this a fight? Hey, remember episode 3? I get that it's 1977, but this is honestly the worst Star Wars fight ever. It's funny that I say that because it's the only fight to have a good Jedi die.
I am your father.
Did you know that Darth Vader's I am your father bit was improv during the movie? Only a few people knew about this. George kept it a secret from most people. Anywho, I just wanted to bring up that Yoda is fun in this movie and I love Luke Skywalker's train. I know that I don't usually have as much to say for the good films as opposed to the bad ones, but hey, that's the way I am. I usually have more stuff to say for bad. And hey, we only have 3 films left. Let's finish this.
Liar!
The best prequel movie. It's a fun movie like the last 2 movies, except even more fun to it. My only problem is Grievous. Did you know his actor had bronchitis when working on this film? Instead of George Lucas telling him to go home until he felt better, or to get a different actor at the time, they just kept it in the film. Which, if you watch the original Clone Wars series, you hear a much better Grievous.
Your training has served me well. It has awarded me many trophies.
Now here's the garbage self that he sounds like in 2005.
I was expecting someone with your reputation to be a little older.
If you can replace the original Darth Vader in 1977, I'm pretty sure that you could replace Grievous in the more progressive year 2005. In this movie, he's a complete wimp. One skimpy Jedi took out Grievous. This is disrespectful to Clone Wars. And not helping is that they used Matthew Wood for everything Grievous onwards, including the sadly more popular Clone Wars series, i.e. the 2008 version.
Guards? Gore? Gore? Where are you?
I heard that Disney milked that series, as well as that stupid character Ahsoka, who I just don't care for. Don't milk stuff, Disney. Be fun like Episode 3. Execute Order 66 is still amazing. Admittedly, I think this Wallace and Gromit parody did it better nowadays, but I still like Emperor Palpatine's and now I must stop myself from making any Robot Chicken jokes with them.
If you'd made up your mind 5 seconds earlier, we could have ruled the galaxy, and maybe I could have gotten laid one more time before I died.
I couldn't resist. Anywho, the fighting is really amazing in this movie, so that's the score and cinematography, and it actually feels like a real fun character, not a whiny little brat like in episodes 1 and 2. I think Obi-Wan has his best moments in this movie as well, even though the "you were my brother" thing is kind of awkward. Watching all the Jedi die was really powerful to watch, especially with Yoda breaking down. And the less that I say about Mace Windu and his actor, the more that I can love this movie. This is the best prequel movie of the Star Wars trilogy ever. It was entirely fun.
Come get it!
I think this is why I started to really care about Star Wars in the first place. It's probably my favorite live-action movie that Disney has ever made. And that's saying much, considering that if it's not Marvel, they're not good at live action. It's so weird that despite this being the best Star Wars movie of the Disney trilogy, it's the one that Poe is in the lead. But Rey and Finn still are really fun, lovable characters. And hey, Ben isn't some sucky emo in this movie, so yay! I can actually have fun! It's like if Kylo Ren doesn't care about his destiny. You cannot escape your destiny.
Destiny sucks!
Episode 6 is easily the best Star Wars live-action thing ever. It's what Star Wars is all about. Talk about the Force, showing how fun it can be, an entire lovable cast, awesome action, space battles, lightsaber battles. Emperor Palpatine was just such a fun character, and his death was awesome! I'm still calling that his death. I don't care what Episode 9 says, because people thought he was dead for 3 decades in our world. I love this movie. And I think the original trilogy is just the best trilogy ever. It just shows you how much better it is than the other two. Like, all the films in the original trilogy were in the top half, with Episode just being smacked down in the middle. Meanwhile, the 4 spots under were from the other trilogies, and only 1 each were in the best. I just really love Star Wars when it's good. When it's bad, I don't want to talk about it, but when it's good, I do love watching Star Wars. Thank you all for joining. StarGiantProductions out. May the 4th be with you. Always.